Go.
Streaming from South Africa to the world. This is the Stonks Go Moon podcast. What just happened? We break it down so you don't have to.
Welcome everyone to the Stonks Go Moon podcast. My guest today, Chris Yin, CEO and co-founder of Plume. Welcome to the pod.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Dude, you guys are on absolute fire. Just all over my feed going off. Raised 10 million seed funding for something that I thought we've been doing for a while, right? Tokenizing real world assets, or called RWAs. So what is your startup doing differently than what was already available?
Totally. A couple things. One is that, again, thanks for having us today. Always excited to talk about Plume and get to share the story. Look, really quick, you said the right thing, which is we've been doing this forever. This is not a new thing, right? I mean, even last cycle, we were tokenizing, watches and houses and all this kind of shit, right? And it's been a thing. So it's not new, right? The difference, I think, this time is two things. One is the overall macro environment and the sort of situation in general. Right? We're looking at things like the BTC ETF in America. We've got the ETF that allows more sort of institutional dollars to come in. And that's sort of the catalyst for a bunch of new things, right? But that doesn't really matter. That's for tomorrow. But that's one thing. I think the thing that is different is if you look at what happened last cycle and what people were doing before, the truth is, or let me ask this, have you used any of those things? Have you ever bought a Patek on chain or bought a house?
No.
Or things on chain?
No.
Exactly. Right? Nobody does that shit, right? That's the problem with the things in the last cycle, right? We were tokenizing things for the purpose of tokenizing them. Turns out we're doing things nobody fucking wanted, right? Nobody buy. If I'm going to buy a Patek, I'm buying a Patek. I'm going to wear this thing. I'm not going to just buy it for the fun, buy it for that. If I'm going to buy a house, I'd like to buy a house to live in it. That's the point, right? Most people aren't buying houses to speculate on it, right?
Yeah, tokenize my child.
Exactly, right? So that's the primary difference between last time and this time. Last time we were doing things for the sake of doing them, right? This time we're doing them to be useful, because I think there's a few lessons we learned from everything that happened last time, which is one, right? Not everything is ready to be tokenized. If you take a house, which is an illiquid asset in the real world, it's not like you can buy and sell a house that is in the real world, right? You put it on chain, you've made it even more illiquid, right? Nobody wants to buy chain, so it's actually a horrible idea. It gets worse by putting it on chain, right? It doesn't get better, right? So it's theoretical shit. We can fractionalize. It doesn't get better. It gets worse, right? That's the first point, right? Okay. The second thing that really matters, though, is the thing that happens now is we've learned something from this all. Right? We had a moment in time about a year and a half ago where the off-chain yields are better than the on-chain yields for the first time, right? Yeah. So when things were in the depths of the bear, everything's gone to hell, right? We park in our stables in on-chain compound, getting 2%, hoping things will come back and hoping for the best, right? Everything's fucked. On the other side, 5% treasury, right? That was interesting. And so everyone said, look, I want that on chain. So that sucked a bunch of stuff on chain. And that realized and taught us a couple different things. The RWA has been here, right? It's just under a different name. It's called the stablecoin, right? It's the best product in crypto today, right? It's mapped to a real world thing, right? The US dollar, it's on chain, but it's crypto. It's open, permissionless, useful. That is an example of an on-chain asset or a real world asset that works, that has demand. And the combination of those two things, how you do it, how do you put it on chain, how do you structure the UX, how do you build it? And then two, what types of things you put together, that will create this environment. That's what we're focused on today.
Right. So what are we tokenizing today for the second run that will actually have value? Not houses. What
totally.
Yeah. What are we tokenizing?
Totally. So going back to that, right? Starting this, just to give you a frame, and I'll talk about what are we tokenizing. And I think about more about what are use cases versus assets, but those are the same things, right? If we think about what are we doing, right? The reason why, again, going back to stablecoins, the reason why the stablecoin works, right? Even though it's the US dollar, is we're not taking the US dollar and putting it on chain. You're building the US dollar for an on-chain environment, right? It's open, it's permissionless, it's composable, right? It's crypto. I don't have to think about the fact that I just know at some point this dollar somewhere, I don't fucking know where it is. It doesn't really matter. I just know it's US dollar, right?
Yeah, but also I can take it anywhere easily. I can take it to whatever I want,
100%.
And it's easy.
Exactly. And that's the point, right? It's crypto. At the end of the day, if I buy any asset in crypto, I do whatever I want with that, put it in any pool. It's composable. I do what I got to do with it. Same thing with USDC or USDT. It was composable and it was crypto from day one. That to me is the point. That's why it's different this time. And so the question is, what is crypto? What does that mean, right? And it's a couple different things, right? So really, if you think about what are crypto use cases, there are three things that really matter, in my opinion. One is earning, yield farming. right? That's one thing we all love to do, right? It's earning money on chain. Number two is trading. So spot stuff, right? Buy, trade, lend, borrow, just, classic spot behavior. And third is speculation. We're doing perps, we're doing synthetics, we're doing all kinds of nonsense, right? Like all those things together is crypto, right? And sometimes, bucket under the broader aspect of DeFi, right? But that's like what this is, right? So when I think about this, we are doing what we call RWA5, right? Which is how do we take these same use cases, but flavor it with a little bit of RWAs, but it's still mostly crypto, right? It should look, feel, and smell like crypto. It just happens to have real things. So for example, under the yield farming category, right? The things we are bringing on chain, what is suitable for you? What do you want to do? I want to park my money somewhere stable and earn money without thinking about it. Zero risk, zero lockups, it's liquid, it's open. That's what I want to do, right? That's what every yield farm is, right? And so the things that fit that state are one, treasuries, as a simple example, right? But it's kind of boring, everyone's doing that. What else can we do? Right? We can do better than 5%, right? I mean, 5% is fun, but like, we want to get into it, right? I'm not here for 5%. So you can do things like, oil fields or solar farms or other types of assets that are, 5, 10, 15, 20% APYs paid out on a very regular basis. Plus you can stack other tokens on top, get you to 30, 40, 50% APYs, right? That's like the story, right? To me, that's like how you do it. I should be able to interact with the real world through a click of a button, buy something, get yield, and just be able to do that, right? And then bounce if I want to, right? Maybe take out a loan against it and now go gamble. That's one example of like what we can do with yield farming. With trading, right? It's a second thing also. Like what's going on there, right? What has a secondary market already in the real world? How can you move things around? So maybe it's equities, right? A simple example is access stuff, right? Maybe it's Pokemon cards, maybe it's sneakers, maybe it's things like that. It's not about fractionalizing a Patek and then being able to trade like a fucking hundredth of a Patek. That's not what people do, right? But people do. People already trade Pokemon cards. People trade sports cards. People trade sneakers. People do those kind of things. How do you enable that? Exactly, right? Yeah. And like if I'm trading sneakers today, right, which is a huge market, I got to wait for my sneakers to get here. I got to sit them. I got to hold a bunch in my house. Hopefully I don't get robbed while it's happening. And then I got to go out and try and sell it again months later. The whole time, one, is the logistics is a pain in the ass. But number two, I should be able to put it into a vault, earn some yield on it. Maybe I take out a loan against it, do whatever I got to do, right? Yeah. All those things combined are like what you should be able to do. So that's the second category of trading with real world assets. And third is speculation. I should be able to like really do a lot of crypto stuff with real world assets. For example, one of our protocols, you can take out a 50x lev long on the price of Pokemon cards, right? Okay. To me, that's a perfect example, right? Because that's still very crypto. We're talking about high leverage. We're talking about, price action for these things, but it happens to be on Pokemon cards instead of some crypto native asset. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. I was about to ask you about, are you focusing more on institutional people or like retail? Where's the focus?
Yep, good question. It's the answer is both, and it's never a satisfying answer, right? So I'll give you the more pointed answer. I think these things change over time, right? It's about what the audience today and where things are going. Today, right? If you look, I think we're very practical in that sense. If you look on chain today, right? Who's the audience? It's 99% degens and crypto retail and 1% trad institutions. And I think that's being pretty generous to 1%, right? Right. It's probably 99.9, right? So if that's the case, you got to build for the market today. Yeah. Right, so we're building for the retail user, the crypto, the average crypto user, and over time that will change as more institutions come on chain, and we know them, right? I talk to them all the time. It's happening; they are moving, and as that changes, the products and the focus areas will change alongside with it. But for right now, we're focused on what is here today.
Yeah. So when I checked about a couple of weeks ago, there was 80 projects on your testnet. I got email this morning saying there's 150. How the hell are you onboarding people that fast?
Yeah, I mean, one, it's I would say it's a couple things always. One, at this point we have a little bit of a brand with a little bit of story. People kind of know who we are, so we're able to kind of get through the door. But really, we have a great BD team as well who's constantly out there, hitting the streets, talking to everyone. We want to talk to everyone in RWAs out there, right? Yes. And make sure we get them on. And then I think the last thing is making sure that, ultimately what gets people in is you have, success stories that you can share that will bring other people in. So for example, the protocols that have been deploying on Plume on the testnet, we've been able to have great early stats of them, right? So a couple of these folks, within a week or two, get 100,000 new followers on Twitter. They get 300,000 users, 100,000 daily users on this thing. 1 million transactions in a week, right? More volume than we've seen anywhere else, right? So like by doing that for a few of our protocols, we can showcase that and share people because that's the whole point of being a chain, but also we're excited to show people this, and that brings more and more people in. So all these things sort of compound and build on each other and allow us to keep adding more and more to higher volume and higher velocity.
Yeah, I feel you. Let's look a bit into the future. Let's say this is the second coming of RWAs. What do you think the third coming is going to be? I mean, you seem like a clever guy. research Binance, previous Coinbase, JP Morgan. What do you think the third phase is going to be?
Totally. Right now, what we're doing, right, is you're taking real things and putting them on chain. Right. At the end of the day, it's a mirror. It's a mirror, right? It's not. It doesn't actually live on chain, right? Ultimately, if I buy a house on chain, I still got to go. Someone actually owns the paper somewhere. I got to go get it, right? It's not actually born on chain, in my opinion. So what you're doing is we started. Phase one was crypto native assets, ETH, BTC, born on chain. These things being real things, and then putting them on chain and having sort of like a portal to put them on chain, right? That's number two. The third thing is going to be, in my opinion, net new things, right? That are born on chain, that are but still have an inherent tie to the real world, right? That to me is the next phase of this, right? Where you want to put these things together and have new things that come together, where you can do things you couldn't do before, right? That to me is going to be the exciting thing. You have these synthetics that sort of live on chain. That's the primary place they live. That's not a duplicate of something in the real world, right? But it's still tied to the real world in a real way.
Dude, I love it. That's awesome. I'm going to love you and leave you to enjoy the little one. If people want to go and find out about Plume and connect with yourself, where can they do that?
We're all over the place, but I would say go to our website, plumenetwork.xyz. But of course, Twitter is where we're the most active. Plume Network, ping me anytime. I'm Chris Yin, and we're always around. Happy to chat with everybody.
And we'll put the links in the comments. To your listeners, peace, love, and prosperity. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.
There's a boy with a dream in a small town square, trading cards and sneakers is got a vision to share. Wants to tokenize the world from Pikachu to Air Max, turning every asset into digital tracks. Catch 'em all, tokenize it right. From sneakers to cards, bring them to light. He's coding in the night, under the neon glow. Nike on his feet, cards in a row. No more middlemen, no more disguise. Just pure value in everyone's eyes. Tokenize, revolutionize, the world's in his sight. From Pokemon rares to sneakers so bright. On the blockchain, he's making it right. A young boy's dream, taking flight. Just do it, make it real. Tokenize the world, break that seal. He sees value in things others overlook. Old games, rare kicks, even that comic book. With a click, with a code, he brings them to life. Tokenized assets cutting through the strife. Gotta catch him, gotta own them all. From the big city to the school hall. He's up late at night coding the new wave, turning childhood icons into tokens we crave. Pikachu, Air Jordan, and that pop culture beat in the digital world where they all meet. Tokenize, revolutionize, the world's in his sight. From Pokemon rares to sneakers so bright. On the blockchain, he's making it right. A young boy's dream, taking flight. Just do it, make it real. Tokenize the world, break that seal. From the town where he started to the world at large. With Nike on his feet, he's leading the charge. Tokenized dreams, now they're all around. A future he built from the ground. Tokenize, revolutionize, the world's in his sight. From Pokemon rares to sneakers so bright. On the blockchain, he's making it right. A young boy's dream, taking flight. Just do it, make it real. Tokenize the world, break that seal. And the C motherfuckers with our kiss scales. Cause he synchronized dreams, now they're all around. A future he built from the ground. And the C motherfuckers with our kiss scales. Cause he synchronized dreams, now they're all around. A future he built from the ground. A future he built from the ground. Yes, Texas, South Korea, the fighters. You did it right, speed, but not the same. For I wanted to see my answer in right. And who's this skill, no way, I'm from the fire. On the other side, all the back, you're a wax. That's right, Facebook, that's it, remember it, man. You're not gonna say. So responsible of the paper. Cause I'm really human, painful, that takes some y'all, baby, like that. And so you sound like there is a real man. So you must find it, can't stop us our dreams. What's that, your region and land? It's that breeze, been going my bullshit, and it's that red. Everyone has that. You're in break, you're a dollar for it, for the opposite sound, too. Chris Yin, the coolest side of these cities, and you shit. Please, man. Every day, they been pretty sad, sad. Bitches, stars with hell, yeah, see, I bet it's too bad. Lights, so you card, me, take it back, take it out, bitch, we got that. Larry, yo, shit, saying, you like me, man. It's got share the question.